Emma noticed the guests for room 1247 always arrived exactly at midnight, spoke in whispers, and carried identical black briefcases. When she checked the security cameras, she discovered something that made her blood freeze. Emma Williams was a 28-year-old woman who had been working as a night receptionist at Grand Regency, one of Manhattan's most prestigious hotels, for 3 years. She had studied art history at Columbia University, but after graduation, when she couldn't find the museum job of her dreams, she temporarily entered the hotel industry. The temporary job had lasted 3 years. The night shift suited Emma. It was quiet, regular, and well-paid work. In the late hours of the night, the hotel would calm down, and Emma would read books or continue with online courses. Most nights passed without incident, but for the last 6 months, she had noticed a strange pattern. Every Friday night, exactly at midnight, the same 5 guests would arrive and check into room 1247. These 5 people were very conspicuous. They were all middle-aged, wearing expensive suits, and looked extremely serious. None of them smiled, they spoke minimally, and they always carried the same black leather briefcases. Emma had nicknamed them the Midnight Group, because they arrived exactly at midnight and left at 6 a.m. They never used room service, never complained, and never had any extra requests. Initially, Emma had considered this normal. Maybe they were businessmen and had early morning meetings. But over time, she began to notice strange details. First, they always paid cash. No credit card, no debit card, just clean banknotes. And they always paid the same amount, $2,500. This was much higher than the normal price for that room. Second, they never underwent identity verification. Emma asked for ID every time, but the group leader would say, "We have a special arrangement." Emma had checked this with her manager, and there really was a special arrangement, but no one knew the details of this arrangement. Third, their way of speaking was very strange. They spoke English, but their accents were unclear. Sometimes Russian, sometimes German words would mix in, and they constantly whispered, as if they were discussing something secret. Fourth, they never let go of their briefcases. When coming to reception, when getting on the elevator, everywhere they held their briefcases tightly. The briefcases looked heavy and made metallic sounds. But the strangest thing was that she never saw them leaving the hotel. The room would be empty at 6 a.m., but Emma never saw them exit through the main entrance. Tonight, Emma had decided to solve the mystery of this mysterious group. She would wait for midnight and follow them. At 11:45 p.m., Emma accessed the security camera system. Grand Regency had cameras on every floor, in every corridor. If this group was really going to room 1247, they should appear on the cameras. Exactly at midnight, as expected, 5 people entered the hotel. Emma watched them from reception. As always, they were serious, quiet, and carrying black briefcases. The group leader approached reception as usual. "Room 1247, as usual," he said in a cold voice. Emma gave him the key card and began to follow the group. They got on the elevator and went up to the 12th floor. But here was something strange. Grand Regency Hotel had 11 floors. There was no 12th floor. Emma had never noticed this before because she hadn't paid attention to the elevator buttons. Emma immediately checked the floor plans on the computer. The hotel really had 11 floors. There was no 12th floor, but the system showed room 1247 as a real room. With her heart beating rapidly, Emma checked the security cameras. Nothing appeared on the 11th floor cameras. The group seemed to have vanished. Emma began deeper research. She examined hotel records, floor plans, security protocols, and she discovered a shocking truth. Room 1247 didn't exist in the official floor plans, but it existed in the computer system, and it was only active on Friday nights. Even stranger was that this room had been rented by the same group since 2018. For 3 years, every Friday night, the same $2,500 payment. Emma decided to go to hotel manager Mr. Richardson's office. Maybe he knew the details of this special arrangement. Mr. Richardson's office was on the 3rd floor. Emma took the elevator up and knocked on the door. No answer. The door wasn't locked, and Emma went inside. The office was dark, but the computer was on. When Emma looked at the screen, she felt her heart stop. There was an email on the screen. Subject: Friday night operations. Payment confirmed. The email said, payment of $2,500 received for room 1247 usage. Disposal completed successfully. Next shipment ready for pickup. Emma's hands trembled. What did disposal mean? What was the shipment of? She checked the email sender, blackmarket.operations@secure.net. Emma opened more emails, and she learned horrifying truths. Grand Regency Hotel was being used as a center for illegal organ trafficking. Every Friday night, organs were brought to room 1247, processed, and sent to buyers. Those black briefcases were filled with human organs. Hearts, livers, kidneys, all in ice-filled briefcases. Organs waiting for their buyers. Emma felt her stomach turn. For 3 years, every Friday night, she had been witnessing this horrific trade, and she had never suspected anything. But there were even more horrifying questions. Where did these organs come from? From volunteer donors, or... Emma examined the emails in more detail, and she saw that her worst fears were real. The organs were taken from people who were procured: homeless people, immigrants, people with unclear identities. They kidnapped them, took their organs, and disposed of the bodies. Emma's world collapsed. Grand Regency Hotel was being used as a center for murder and organ trafficking, and she herself was unknowingly part of this horrific organization. But what would she do now? She could call the police, but she had no proof, and if she was caught, she could also be disposed of. Emma decided to first collect more evidence. She copied files from Mr. Richardson's computer and saved them to a USB. Then she began examining security camera footage. She needed to find where room 1247 was located. She discovered something strange in the camera footage. The group went up to the 11th floor, but then they seemed to disappear, as if there was a secret passage. Emma decided to go up to the 11th floor. The group should be doing their work now, and there was a risk of catching them. But she needed to learn the truth. When she went up to the 11th floor, the corridor looked different than normal. At the end, where the normal rooms ended, there was a secret door. The door was the same color as the wall and couldn't be noticed without looking very carefully. Emma put her ear to the door. Sounds were coming from inside. Metallic sounds, machine sounds, and things more horrifying than human voices. There was a small window next to the door. Emma carefully looked inside, and the scene she saw shocked her. Inside was an operating room, but not a hospital operating room, an illegal operating room. 5 people, wearing sterile clothes, were working around a large table. There was a human on the table, motionless, appearing dead, and the 5 people were extracting his organs. Emma covered her mouth with her hand to keep from screaming. She had seen the truth. Room 1247 was an illegal organ harvesting center. But even worse, the person on the table looked familiar. Emma had seen him before. He was one of the homeless people who wandered around the hotel area. Emma's heart was beating so fast she couldn't breathe. She needed to leave there immediately, but her feet were like lead. Just then, the operating room door opened. The group leader came out and made eye contact with Emma. "What are you doing here?" the man asked in a cold voice. Emma froze. She couldn't speak. "It's obvious you're a very curious person," the man said, approaching. "But curiosity killed the cat, you know." Emma tried to run, but the man caught her. "Come inside," the man said. "Since you've seen everything now, we need to talk to you." Emma was dragged into the operating room. The 4 people inside looked at her. They were all taking off their gloves, and there was blood on their hands. "This little lady was very curious," said the group leader. "She's been working here faithfully for 3 years, but tonight she learned everything." "What are we going to do?" asked the masked woman. "We can offer her options," said the group leader, turning to Emma. "You're very loyal, Emma. For 3 years, you never asked questions, never suspected anything. You're a perfect employee. Emma finally could speak. This is murder. You're killing people." "No, Emma. We're making people who waste their lives contribute to society again. These organs go to wealthy patients and save their lives. This is madness. This is business. And you're going to be part of this business now. Either you join us or—" The man didn't finish his sentence, but what he meant was clear. "If you join us, we can increase your salary fivefold, $50,000 per month. You'll just continue being a receptionist, and you won't see anything." Thousands of thoughts raced through Emma's mind. If she accepted this money, she would be an accomplice to murders. But if she refused, she would probably be killed. "Do I have time to think?" she asked. "Until morning," said the group leader. "But don't forget, Emma, you know too much now. There's no going back." Emma returned to reception, but everything was different now. The hotel had turned into a hell, hiding horrific secrets. That night, Emma couldn't sleep. When morning came, she had made a decision. She would stop this horrific organization. But how? If she called the police, who would believe her? And were her proofs sufficient? Emma decided to call the FBI's Organized Crime Unit. They dealt with such international organized crimes. The next day, Emma had a secret meeting with the FBI. Agent Sarah Chen listened carefully to Emma's story. "Miss Williams, these are very serious accusations, but what you're describing resembles a case our department has been following." "What do you mean?" "In the last 2 years, many homeless and unidentified people have disappeared in New York, all from around Midtown Manhattan. This creates a pattern." Hope came to Emma. So the FBI was already following this case. "I'll make you an offer," said Agent Chen. "Help us. Expose the organization from the inside. Record the operation and help us catch them red-handed." "Isn't it very dangerous?" "Yes, but the alternative is dozens more innocent people being killed." Emma accepted. Agent Chin gave her hidden cameras and audio recording devices. When Friday night came, Emma was ready. Hidden cameras were installed and FBI teams were waiting. At midnight the group came. This time Emma watched them more carefully and recorded everything. When the group went up to the secret operating room, the FBI launched the operation. The raid was quick and effective. The group was caught, bodies and evidence were found. The footage Emma recorded became key evidence in the case. Everyone from the hotel owner to the group leader was arrested. The case created a big sensation in America. It became known as the Grand Regency Organ Scandal. Emma was taken under FBI protection because the organization had other branches. Emma testified in court. She blamed herself for not noticing anything for 3 years. "Don't blame yourself, Ms. Williams," said the judge. "You saved hundreds of lives with your brave actions." The group leader and associates received life sentences. The organization was dismantled. Emma left the hotel industry. She could no longer work night shifts. Every night she remembered that operating room. Instead, she began working as a consultant at the FBI. She helped with organized crime and trafficking cases. Sometimes the most horrific crimes happen in the most normal places, Emma would say, and sometimes we just need to ask the right questions. Emma's story led to changes in security protocols in the hotel industry. Now personnel working night shifts received more careful training about suspicious activities. Because Emma had learned that real heroes aren't always caped superheroes. Sometimes they're just ordinary people who are curious, brave, and determined to seek the truth. That night, when she discovered room 1247, she not only learned the hotel's secret but also won an important victory for humanity.